Okay, so get this. I first bumped into Lucas totally by chance, or at least that's what I thought at the time. He strolled into the office like he owned the joint, which, yeah, he technically did. His dad, Mr. Hamilton, was this big-shot CEO everyone whispered about. But Lucas was this total mystery who just popped into my life out of nowhere. But hang on, this story actually kicks off with me getting called up to Mr. Hamilton's office, which totally freaked me out. My heart was doing backflips as I headed up to the top floor. I kept thinking, oh man, did I mess up? Miss a deadline? Get a complaint? The air felt super heavy, you know, like when you just know something huge is about to go down. When I walked into Mr. Hamilton's office, their vibe was different, all cool and calculated. There he was, behind this fancy mahogany desk, fingers pressed together, staring at me like he could see right through me. "Connor," he said, waving me over to sit. I was like, super confused, because Mr. Hamilton wasn't the type to just randomly call people in. Something felt off, and my gut was screaming that this wasn't about my work at all. He jumped right in, voice all businesslike, but kind of nice. "I need you to do something for me." His tone was giving me the creeps, but I tried to play it cool. "Sure thing, sir. Anything for the company." He cracked this tiny smile and was like, "Well, it's not exactly company stuff, but kind of." Then he dropped the bomb. "I want you to date my son, Lucas." I just sat there blinking like an idiot, thinking I must have heard him wrong. Like, what? He didn't even flinch when he explained, "Look, Lucas is different. He's always been tricky to connect with, especially since his mom passed. I've tried everything, therapy, trips, even giving him more responsibility here, but nothing's worked. He's just disconnected, lonely. I think my brain was doing somersaults. This wasn't just weird, it was totally bonkers. Date his son? Why me? What made him think I was right for this crazy assignment?" I managed to squeak out, "But I don't even know Lucas." Then came the kicker. He offered to pay me $5,000 a month, just casually dropped it, like we were talking about the weather. "It's not a bribe," he said. "Just a favor for me and Lucas, $5,000 for someone drowning in student loans and barely making rent." It was super tempting, but this wasn't just some normal favor, this was getting personal. Yet, something inside me was curious, and it wasn't about the money. It was Lucas himself. This mysterious guy who floated around like nothing touched him, someone I knew nothing about, but was suddenly supposed to change. I don't know," I mumbled, fidgeting in my chair. Mr. Hamilton was all chill about it. "Take your time, but not too long. Lucas is coming tomorrow for a meeting. You can meet him yourself." I left that office feeling like I was in some weird dream. Like, who does this? Who pays someone to date their kid? But the Hamiltons weren't your average family. They were loaded, powerful, living in their own little bubble. But hey, this story is just getting started. If that was all there was to it, I wouldn't be telling you about it. The next day when Lucas walked in and caught my eye with those killer blue eyes of his, everything changed. Okay, so get this, I hadn't even said yes to Mr. Hamilton's crazy offer, but I could already tell I was about to dive into something way over my head. The next day, I'm just chilling in the break room, zoning out at the coffee machine, while my brain's going a million miles an hour, like I'd spent all night tossing and turning about this wild proposal. My gut was screaming, "Run away, dude," but something kept nagging at me, you know. And honestly, I was kind of dying to know more about this mysterious Lucas Hamilton guy. Then, boom. While I'm lost in my thoughts, I hear footsteps, and there he is, Mr. Mystery himself, just casually leaning against the doorframe like some model from a magazine shoot. He had this whole vibe going on, tall, lean, and radiating this quiet confidence that just grabbed your attention. "Connor, right," he says, all smooth and cool, like we're in some indie movie. "Yeah, that's me," I managed to squeak out, trying not to look totally shocked that he knew my name. "I'm Lucas," he says, reaching out to shake my hand. And, oh boy, his handshake was firm, but there was this little moment where his fingers lingered just a beat too long. And those blue eyes of his, they locked onto mine, and suddenly my brain just went, 404 error not found. "My father mentioned you," he says, with this little knowing smirk that made my stomach do backflips. "Oh, yeah," I tried to sound super casual, and probably failed. "Says you're one of his top people, someone worth getting to know." The way he kept his eyes on me had me feeling all kinds of flustered. Was he in on this whole thing? Before I could spiral further, he lets out this soft laugh and breaks eye contact. "Look, just so you know, my dad's always sticking his nose in my business. It's honestly such a pain." I tried to lighten things up with a smile. He probably means well, right? Bad move. Lucas's face went dark for a sec. Maybe. Or maybe he just can't deal with me not fitting into his perfect little Instagram-worthy world. The way he said it, total gut punch. I barely knew the guy, but something about him just made me want to give him a hug or something. Later that night, my phone buzzes. "It's Pupper Hamilton, dinner tonight, you plus Lucas, 7 p.m. Already booked it." Talk about your control freak moment. But hey, curiosity got the better of me, and next thing I know, I'm standing outside this fancy restaurant at 6:45, fidgeting with my shirt like a nervous teenager. When Lucas shows up looking like a snack in a sleek black jacket, my heart does a little somersault. We barely talk on the way in, but it's not awkward, more like that tingly kind of silence where you both know something's up. This place was next level fancy, mood lighting, fancy tablecloths, menu items I couldn't even pronounce. Lucas was totally in his element, though, checking out the room like he owned the place. Meanwhile, I'm trying not to look like a total fish out of water. "You seem tense," he says, giving me this look with his eyebrow raised. I let out this nervous laugh. "Yeah, just a bit. This isn't really my scene." He smirks. "What, fancy restaurants?" I shake my head. "Nah, I blurted out like an idiot. But instead of getting mad, his smirk turns into this genuine smile that makes my insides melt. "I could say the same about you, Connor. You're different." "Different how?" He leaned back in his chair, studying me. "Most people I meet have an agenda. They want something from me, whether it's money, power, or just the chance to be associated with the Hamilton name. But you're hard to read. It's refreshing." I wasn't sure what to say to that, so I just took a sip of water and tried to play it cool. The money his dad offered was still hanging over my head, but honestly, there was just something about Lucas that got me. Can't really explain it, As we hung out that night, chatting about everything under the sun, music, traveling, growing up, it felt surreal. Lucas totally opened up, spilling stories about living in different places and his complicated relationship with his dad. The whole dinner was like this weird mix of fancy food and real talk, and man, there was this crazy tension in the air every time our hands accidentally touched, reaching for our glasses, or when we'd catch each other staring across the table. After dinner, we decided to walk around the city. It was one of those perfect nights, all quiet and pretty, with the streetlights making everything look magical. "Hey, can I tell you something?" Lucas said, his voice all soft. "I never wanted any of this." "Any of what?" I asked, turning to look at him. "This whole life, the company, all these expectations. It's like someone wrote out my whole life story without asking me first." I reached out and put my hand on his arm without thinking. "Lucas, you're not just your dad's kid. You get to choose your own path." Then, boom, the most movie-worthy moment ever happened. He looked at my hand, then at me, and suddenly the air was like electric. Next thing I know, we're kissing. It started off super gentle, like we were both nervous, but then he pulled me closer, and, oh my god, everything else just disappeared. It was just us, his lips on mine, his body pressed against me, his fingers in my hair. When we finally came up for air, both of us breathing hard, our foreheads touching, Lucas whispered, "This is insane." I could barely get out a "yeah" before adding, "but, like, good insane." He just smiled and ran his thumb along my jaw. Definitely good insane. We stood there forever, wrapped up in each other, while the cool night air swirled around us. His heart was beating so fast against my chest, and for a hot minute, everything felt perfect. But you know that annoying voice in your head that ruins perfect moments? Yeah, his dad's offer was still there, nagging at me. We ended up walking back to my place, hand in hand, both of us super quiet, but, like, in a good way. At my door, things got intense again. The way he touched me sent shivers everywhere, and I just wanted more. When we finally stopped kissing, both of us looking like we'd been through a tornado, he was like, "I should probably go." But his hand was still on me. I managed a week, yeah, even though I totally wanted him to stay. The connection felt so real. I wasn't ready for the night to end. That was just the start. Over the next few weeks, Lucas and I were basically inseparable. Every day, it got harder to remember this whole thing started because of his dad's weird plan. Everything just felt so real. So we started hanging out, dinners, walks in the park, movie nights at my place. You know, what started as this totally weird setup from his dad turned into something super real, at least that's how I felt. But I couldn't shake this nagging feeling in the back of my head, reminding me about the deal and the money. One night, while we're chilling on my couch, Lucas's head on my shoulder, I'm just sitting there stressing about when this whole thing might blow up in my face. Like, what if he found out his dad literally paid me to date him? Talk about awkward. "Hey, you good?" Lucas mumbled, snapping me out of my mini meltdown. I plastered on this fake smile, like, "Yeah, just work stuff. No biggie." He didn't buy it for a second, but instead of pushing it, he just leaned up and kissed me. Then, this one afternoon, everything went sideways. We were at the park, and Lucas is acting all weird and distant. Finally, I'm like, "What's up?" and we sit down on this bench. He's all serious, fidgeting with his jacket, and drops the bomb. "So, do you know why my dad wanted us to meet?" My heart basically stopped. Like, how much did he know? Then he hits me with, "My dad's always trying to control everything, especially me. He hates that I won't play along with his perfect little plan." But this is next level. Before I could say anything, he just comes right out with it. "He paid you, didn't he? To date me." Talk about a gut punch. I'm standing there, probably looking like I'd seen a ghost, and he's just like, "It wasn't hard to figure out. My dad always has an agenda. And you're great, Connor, but I kept wondering why someone like you would want anything to do with me." "Lucas, it's not what you think." I grabbed his hand. "Yeah, okay, your dad paid me to meet you, but that's not why I'm here now." He yanked his hand away and got up. "Then why are you here? Why didn't you tell me?" I jumped up too, words just tumbling out. "Because I was scared. I didn't want to lose you." He shot back, "Isn't this just another job to you?" "No way." I stepped closer. "Maybe at first, but not anymore. I care about you so much, Lucas. This is real." He just stood there, looking torn between wanting to believe me and wanting to punch something. "You don't get it," he said, his voice cracking. "Everyone in my life wants something from me, money, connections, whatever. I thought you were different." "I am," I said softly. "Look, I know this started weird, but I'm here because I want to be, not because of your dad's money. Lucas looked down, running his hand through his hair. Man, I don't know what to think. Like, how do I? I know this isn't just my dad pulling strings again. Look, I said, stepping closer. I can't wave a magic wand and prove everything to you, but I'm asking you to trust your gut here. Give us another shot. The silence was killer. Lucas just stood there, chewing his lip. Finally, he let out this big sigh and was like, I need to process this. My stomach dropped, but I got it. Yeah, okay, I mumbled. Then he just walked away, left me standing there in the park like some sad movie scene. My brain was going a million miles an hour. I'd really messed up, keeping secrets. But what I felt for Lucas, that was real. Talk about no way was I letting him slip away without putting up a fight. The next few days were pure torture. Radio silence from Lucas. No calls, no texts, nothing. It was like he'd vanished into thin air, leaving this massive Lucas-shaped hole in my life. I zombie walked through work, but my head was somewhere else entirely, wondering if he'd ever forgive me, or if I'd totally blown it. Then, boom, just when I was about to give up hope, my phone lights up at midnight. There's Lucas's name, making my heart do backflips. Hey, I squeaked into the phone. Hey yourself, came his voice, all soft and unsure. Lucas. I whispered, sitting bolt upright in bed. Honestly didn't think you'd call, he admitted, after this super intense pause. He was like, been doing a lot of thinking. I jumped in, God, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I should have come clean from the start. I know, he said quietly. But here's the thing. It's not just about you lying. I've been pushing everyone away forever, you know? I built up all these walls, thinking they'd keep me safe, but then you came crashing in, and yeah. I just let him talk, my heart doing somersaults. I don't want to lose that, he finally said. Don't want to lose you. You won't, I promised, getting all choked up. I'm right here. The line went so quiet, I thought he'd hung up, but then he whispered, can I come over? Get your butt over here, I said, my heart racing. Next thing I know, there's a knock at my door. Lucas is standing there, looking like he hasn't slept in days, but still somehow gorgeous. I let him in without a word, and the way he looked at me, man, I'd never seen him so raw. I don't know how to fix us, he mumbled. I stepped closer. We'll figure it out together. Then, bam, his kissing me, slow and sweet, saying everything we couldn't put into words. God, I missed you, I whispered back, my voice shaky. Standing there with him, close enough to feel his heartbeat, it hit me how much I'd been missing him. All the drama from before just melted away, leaving just us, just this thing between us that felt so real. Lucas pulled back slightly, his blue eyes searching mine. I don't know where we go from here, he admitted. But I want to try. I want to be with you, Connor. I need to know that this is real. It is, I promised, my hands gently cupping his face. What we have is real. I never expected this to happen, and yeah, it started out complicated, but that doesn't change how I feel about you. He nodded slowly, as if coming to terms with everything. Okay, he whispered. Okay, let's figure this out. And just like that, we clicked back together. All the weird vibes between us melting away as we hugged it out. The next few weeks were like a happy blur. Me and Lucas, hanging out non-stop, getting real about everything. I spilled the tea about his dad's whole scheme, but made sure he knew I was sticking around because I was super into him, not for any cash. Not gonna lie, it was kind of awkward at first, but after we talked it out, something awesome happened. Lucas started letting his guard down, showing me the real him, not just the tough guy act he put on, but the actual person underneath who'd been trying to break free from his dad's shadow. Then came this wild night that changed everything. We were just chilling on his couch, some wine, leftover takeout everywhere, cracking up at some random movie. Everything felt perfect, until, boom, someone knocks on the door. Lucas got all tense, his smile dropping faster than a hot potato. "Expecting company?" I asked, confused. "Nope," he said, looking worried. The room got super heavy as he walked to the door. I followed him, my heart doing gymnastics. And who shows up? Pupper Hamilton himself. "What's up, Dad?" Lucas asked, cold as ice. Mr. Hamilton shot me this death glare, and was like, "Need to talk to you alone." I didn't want to bail, but Lucas gave me this little "it's cool" nod, so I ducked out, but not before catching Mr. H.'s snippy, "I told you this was a bad idea," from the other room. I could hear them going at it. "What do you want?" Lucas sounded so done. His dad was all, "You're getting in too deep, and this was supposed to be temporary." Lucas snapped back, "Still trying to run my life? You paid him to date me, and now that it's actually real, you want to wreck it." His dad tried the whole, "I was just trying to help" routine, but Lucas wasn't having it. "You don't get it. You can't just puppet master my relationships." Then came the bombshell. "I love him." Lucas just blurted out. My brain short-circuited. Like, whoa, did he just say that? His dad was all, "Excuse me," but Lucas doubled down. "You heard me. I love Connor, and your opinion doesn't change that." His dad tried one last time. "Think about what you're doing," but Lucas was like, "Already did, and I choose him over your money and your plans." I couldn't just hide anymore. I walked out and stood by Lucas, facing his dad. "Look," I said, trying to keep it cool, "I'm not here for your money. I actually care about your son." Mr. Hamilton looked like he'd eaten something sour, but something in his eyes changed. Without another word, he just walked out. When we were alone, Lucas pulled me close. "Did you mean all that?" I whispered. He looked right at me and nodded. "I love you too," I said, getting all emotional. He smiled, and suddenly everything felt right. No more drama, no more secrets, just us, standing there in his arms. Everything hit different. This wasn't just some random moment, this was us finally figuring out what we meant to each other, and honestly, it felt pretty amazing. That's our story, a tale of unexpected love, trust, and standing up for what matters. If you enjoyed this journey as much as we did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We've got more heartwarming stories coming your way that'll make you believe in love all over again. Your support means the world to us, and every like, comment, and share helps spread these stories of love and authenticity. Join our growing community of romantics and dreamers. Click that bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Remember, sometimes the best love stories start in the most unexpected ways.